Hey, what's up everybody? Joe Simpson here. Wanted to check in this morning, doing a little fishing. We had some monsoon rain yesterday. I mean, it has just washed the waterways down completely, which I think is a good thing. It's been stagnant and hot and just slow here lately. So I wanted to get out and do a little fishing this morning. I'm a little late to the game. I had a video that I had to do this week for the swim team, which took me like the last 3 days, working till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I know that's not that late for most people, but worked on it real hard, got it finished yesterday. Didn't do a lot of fishing at all. Usually I go early or late in the day, before or after work. I haven't had a chance, been working on that stuff. But today I've got a 2-camera setup. I've got my camera on my hat. It looks a little stupid, but I did that because I can't find my Zoom H1 recorder with my lav mic, or else I do all this stuff on the camera. But I thought, well, to add perspective, I'll put the hat cam on. It's got a good mic, and I'll use both. But today I want to talk about some new equipment that I bought, and I talked to you guys briefly about it the other day. I'm going to do a plane pause here because there's a plane going over. So a few months ago, Kastking sent me the Assassin reel to review and to keep and to have and to play with. They gave it to me for free. So obviously anything that I probably did with that reel in terms of a review had a 1 or 2 point bias because it was free, you know, so that's pretty nice. I'm not really one of those people who are like, oh, you got it for free, then you can't give an honest review. I just don't think that's true. I know Amazon and a lot of these different places that promote products, they don't like to have a free situation occur because people, you know, are biased and they think they're being paid by receiving goods to give good reviews, which I've never done. But I'll tell you today that I don't have any affiliation with Kastking or with Lews or with anybody that I have gear from. So I'll try to give you as honest a review as I can on this stuff. Now, where I kind of went away from being happy with the Kastking Assassin reel is, first of all, let me just say it's a good reel. It's ultralight, it casts like a dream, and it works really well. It was about 55 or 60 bucks, I think, at the time they gave it to me. I think it's still about that same price. There might be a new version of it out. It's like $59, but it's a good budget reel. It casts like a dream. It functions well. The only thing I would say that started to concern me a little bit about the reel, I was getting into some noises and to some functionality that was kind of concerning. So I decided to step up my game and get some new equipment, but I couldn't really decide on what I wanted. And I wanted to get something that was really good, performs well, and that was solid. And I was getting all kinds of advice, you know, get Daiwa, get, you know, Shimano, get this, get that. And I just started doing some research, and I actually landed on the Lews Tournament MB Speed Spool. And this is really honestly the reason why. I started looking at the Lews reels because I know they have a solid name and reputation. And when I got to the speed spools and I looked at the Tournament MB, I noticed, I started, at first I wasn't going to buy that reel because I said, oh, there's reviews 1, 2 years old. This thing's old as the hills. I don't want an old reel, I want a new fresh reel. But when I started reading the reviews, and they were stacked with like mostly 5 stars and hardly any 1 stars or 2 stars, most of the 3 and 4 stars are just like, oh, it came broken in the box, or it didn't work, or something, you know, just critical failure up front. But I didn't read anything where people said, oh, after a week it broke, or this thing sucks, or I've had it for 3 years and I never liked it, or just everybody raves about this reel. And they rave about most of the Lews reels. They're solid. The other thing I liked about it, it was below 150. My price goal was, I want a rod and reel that's really, really nice for me. And that to me is like 250 bucks. I'm not a $500 rod and reel kind of guy. So I'm always going to be budget minded when I do stuff. And I know some of you watching this are like, dude, you paid $250 for a rod and reel. That's not budget minded. But believe it or not, in this game, in this industry, that's not a terrible price. So I got the Lews Tournament MB Speed Spool, and rather than go through the specs and tell you it has a solid aluminum body and about the paddle handles and talk about all that stuff, the specs and the details have been beat to death. But the one I have is a left-hand crank, and it is the 7.5 to 1 or something like that. It's the 7. They come in different speed versions. You got the 5.3 or 5.6. You've got the 6 point something, the 7 point something, the 8 point something. I kind of went medium high because of the reason I was going to use this as an all-around rod and reel setup. Now I have the Speed Demon as well at home from Kastking, and that's like 9 point something to 1, which is ridiculously fast. But I just wanted something that was moderately fast, that I can control speeds and control action of lures with cranking speeds, which this can do. And I wanted something to where I could do some fishing where if I needed to make up a little slack in the line, I had some extra speed to do that. Other than that, there was really no criteria that I had in mind, other than I just wanted a good, solid rod and reel. So the Lews Tournament MB speed spool, and then I teamed it with, believe it or not, the Kastking Speed Demon Pro rod. Now they have a new line of rods that are out, and they range, they segregate those rods in fishing types rather than calling it, you know, fast tip, you know, heavy, medium, heavy, fast. Instead of rating it that way, they do have those ratings, you can figure it out, but they call out what fishing type you would do with each rod. And within those types, of course, they give you the heavy fast, or the heavy medium, or the, you know, medium light, or whatever it is that they do. So I got a spinnerbait rod because it's medium fast. And I was doing some reading about the spinnerbait rod on the Kastking site, and one of the guys who has one of these said, it's medium fast, but it's got plenty of backbone. Don't be afraid to get this rod for heavier stuff because it can do it as well. So I wanted a rod I could just go to the pond with and do. I want to wing small lures, and I want to wing big lures. At first I didn't like the Lews speed spool at all. I was not able to cast it to my liking without some type of little hang up or bird's nest or something, and it was really getting frustrating. Now it's got 3 different ways to set your rod up, and let's talk about those before we get on the water down there. Okay, let's turn this way. Okay, when setting up your rod for a bait caster, you have a couple of different things you can do. This initial tensioner, which is tension for the shaft of the spool, and then you have the magnetic brakes, which helps you at the end of the cast or during the cast, keeping the spool regulated and slowing it down at the appropriate time. Now inside of here, behind this cover, is centrifugal brakes, which is an additional brake system that this rod has, which is really cool. So first of all, what you want to do is I have a Whopper Plopper 90. It's a nice basic lure, and I have it at a fall rate of not full gravity, like full force, but it's falling pretty quick. And that's about how I like to set up my rods and reel to begin with. Now when I first started casting this thing, I didn't do the centrifugal brakes. I put 2 on and 2 off, and then I just started dialing the magnetic. I couldn't get it to cast right. I couldn't get this thing to throw the way I wanted it to. I was always thumbing it. I was always working it really hard, and I was unhappy with the way that it was performing. So I got on the water with my buddy, and he was like, well, what are you doing with centrifugal brakes? I set this up like this. He's like, yeah, that looks right. And I said, I set the magnetics like this. And he said, that looks right. And he said, well, where are your centrifugal brakes? And I said, well, it's 2 on, 2 off. And he goes, well, put all 4 on and see what it does. So I pushed all 4 in the position I thought where they were on, and I went to cast, and the line just blew up on the reel. So I turned them all off. So I was going in the wrong direction. So then he said, well, put them all on. So I pushed them all to the outside and then threw it, and it didn't cast very far, but I mean, it was like clean as a whistle. Nothing was giving me a problem at all. And he said, now turn 1 off. And I turned 1 off, and I threw it, and that lure just sailed. So I had 2 brakes on. He said put all 4 on and then back off of it. I took 4, backed off to 3, and when I hit 3, it was the magic number. Then I started dialing these outer adjustments to be better, and then I was getting the cast I wanted. So at first I did not like the Lews speed spool casting, and I was reading everybody saying, oh, it casts like a dream, and I was like, man, I don't know what planet you guys are on, but I can't get it to work. But then I figured it out, and I know it's like Baitcaster 101. I get it. Some of you pros out there are gonna be like, you're a dork, you need to learn how to set up a rod and reel. But you know, this whole fishing adventure for me is just kind of a learning experience every day. I mean, there's new tricks that we're learning from everyone all the time, so nobody has it all figured out. I'm gonna go down here on the bank and just work this area a little bit, and whatever action happens out in the water you'll see from my head cam. But I wanted you guys to kind of watch me cast and throw this thing around a little bit. All right, so this fountain probably doesn't help much. Oh God, it does cast good. A nice thing about this Lews reel is the speed of this reel. Allows you to control the speed of lures fairly easily. So if you start getting behind on your lure speed, you can just crank it up. Now this is a wind cast here. I'm casting right into the wind. Sometimes working these banks is the way to go, and sometimes it's not. That was not good right there. Hit the brick wall. Wow, that's a first. You guys ever see that before? Wow. I just busted my lure. I don't really know what to do. Let's just be completely honest with ourselves here. I'm gonna try this black and blue. Okay, I'm trying this black and blue chatterbait. Dial in the action here on it. I have a feeling I'm going to hit some grass and stuff down there. It's falling a little too fast. That was a terrible cast, but got me a fish. Got me a fish, guys. On a chatterbait. Try to lift them without lifting the rod tip. That's a decent fish. Well, would you look at that? All right, so here's the chatterbait. Nice hook set. That's a 1.5-pounder, solid, beautiful fish. So maybe they're looking for a darker presentation. All right, guys, so here's an 1/8 ounce lure on this rod, and it's not dropping very fast. This could be hitting limits. Let's see what happens here. There we go. Let's see. That is not the end of the world. Yeah, that's not terrible. I'm getting about, I don't know, 20 feet, 25 feet. Little fish. Little fish with a big belly. Holy moly. I think somebody's eating more than his share. Evidenced by his aggression. Look at that fat boy. What did he eat? Still in there. Would he eat a car? Good Lord. There you go. Got a fish. So, I'm discovering something here, guys. he would sit still, I could get him. Discovering that these bass might be wanting swim baits. So it's a little chewed up, but I'm going to keep using it because I like it. Alright guys, lost my mic, lost this camera, so you're just dealing with the mic on the camera that's mounted right now, so hopefully the sound is okay. So just in quick review, I didn't want to get into specs and details about the Lews Tournament MB, but I did want to say that I think that for 130, 140 bucks, it's a solid reel, and it performs tremendously well through a whole range of different baits. We're talking all the way down to 1/8 ounce to, you know, 1 1/4, 1 1/2 ounce if you wanted to push it. I think you could easily frog with this reel. I think you could do topwater. This is a 7.3 or 7.5 to 1, whatever the ratio is in the sevens on this reel. Like I said, I'm not going to get into specs. I'm not going to break it down, take it apart, show you the insides, talk about bearings and all aluminum and the aluminum handle and the paddles and everything. It's all personal preference. So when you go into a store and you pick up a reel and it feels right, if it's a good quality brand and you can get it to cast well, that's what you want to buy. You want to buy what works for you. And for me, I wanted something that was going to be around for a long time, that would last for a long time, that was going to be worth the money I paid for it, and it wasn't going to be over 150 bucks. And I wanted a rod and reel combo that could do just about everything I want to do, which this can, and I wanted it to be less than 250. So 99 for the rod, 130, 140 for the reel, shipping, everything to the door. It was easily a 250 deal. I'm really pleased with it. It casts great. I just, there's not many times that I'm going to grab other rods than this right here. So I'm really happy with it, and if it continues to perform well, I might change and go to like one of the heavier duty frog rods for the Kastking and repeat the reel, or I might get something that's even lighter weight to throw lighter lures and stuff. So we'll see what happens, but I just wanted to give you the rundown and a quick tour of the Lews Tournament MB reel. It's not brand new, it's not hot off the market, it wasn't an iCast, but it is a solid player, and it's something that you should consider when buying a reel, and something that's going to be tossed around, dropped in the boat, and beat up and used. These things have a great reputation. So give them a look and check out the Lews Tournament MB reel, and I give it a thumbs up. And I bought it myself. Nobody gave it to me.